25 richest Americans paid no federal taxes, report The Street. Tesla's Elon Musk, former New York Mayor's Michael Bloomberg, Amazon's Jeff Bezos, the activist investor Carl Icahn have all managed to pay zero income taxes. In at least 1 year in the past 15 years, ProPublica reported billionaire investor George Soros managed to pay no income taxes 3 years in a row. In 1 year, Bezos paid no income taxes, 2011. He even claimed and received a $4,000 tax credit for his children, according to the report. From 2006 to 2018, Bezos saw his wealth increase $127 billion. Over the period, he reported $6.5 billion in income, on which he paid $1.4 billion in federal taxes. When compared with his overall gains, that amounts to 1.1% true tax rate on the rise on his fortune. Topping ProPublica's list is Berkshire Hathaway's Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, reportedly had income of $125 million from 2014 to 2018, paid 23.7% in taxes, a true tax rate of 0.1%, the way they're doing the math, right? Okay. So this concept becomes, and by the way, somebody leaked their taxes.
Right.
I don't know. Somebody
from the IRS, which is a federal offense, by the way.
Are you kidding me? Anonymous. Yeah. And then you see the press secretary's like, oh, we are going to get to the bottom of this. No, you're not. Yeah. This is IRS giving you the story right before you're pitching the idea of raising taxes is a good thing. And look at all these rich people. Let's turn them into bad people. Sure. So let's do this. Here's the other way of thinking about it. All these incentives. First of all, money's free. It's easy today to get, meaning for the rich. It's very free. Interest rates are low. It's so easy to go get $50, $100, $200 million today. If you have money, there's this saying, when you have money, they don't lend you any money. 20 years ago, nobody gave me a loan at a bank. I couldn't get a loan at a bank if I tried. Hell, if I wanted to rent a car from Hertz, they wouldn't give it to me because we're worried because your credit sucks so bad, right? Today, everybody's just like, hey, you want another 10 million? You want another 40 million? You want another 35 million? You want another 20 million? Here you go. It's just money being given away, right? Because it's cheap. How do we get here? Rates stay low like this. It's going to keep happening. The separation on the wealth is going to be taking place. Now, on the flip side, when you hear these stories about how bad the rich people are, okay, let's look at our compensation plan that we have with taxes. Let's look at the compensation plan that we have in taxes. And let's get rid of all the incentives of people to become entrepreneurs. What does America look like without Elon Musk? Let's take him out. There is no Elon Musk. Or a Elon Musk type of a person in the last 20 years, okay? Which is not like somebody to say, well, if there's not an Elon Musk, there will be another Elon Musk. No. Say there is no Elon Musk-esque type of a person in the last 20 years. Say there's no Jeff Bezos type of a person in the last 20 years. Say there's no Warren Buffett type of a person in the last 50 years. Say there's no Carl Icahn.
Steve Jobs, all those guys.
The whole point I'm trying to make to all these guys. What does America look like? Is it a better place?
No.
Is America a better place without Bezos, Musk, Buffett, all of these guys?
In my opinion, no. It's not a better place without them. No.
So what causes these guys to be willing to go work their tails off, put so much risk, anxiety, fear, worry at night, sitting there, oh my gosh, I'm working like Elon Musk. So for 20 years, I never took a day of vacation. Gates, for 20 years, I never took a day of vacation. How many people are willing to do that? And there's a bunch of people that are asking about a 4-day work week. These guys work 20 years straight. The incentive is, if I go 20 years without working, kind of like what Scott Galloway said in his article. Yeah. He said, I used to go in Tuesday morning and not come back till Wednesday night. You can work 30 hours straight. Yeah. The incentive is, how many people are willing to do that at his age?
Not many anymore.
So if they do, they deserve the kind of wealth that they're getting. If you try to punish them, what happens next is what? The next 20 years, you will not have an Elon Musk. The next 20 years, you will not have a Bezos being inspired by that. That's the part that people forget. Go to some of the biggest socialistic countries in the world and tell me what incredible products were produced there. Go. Yeah. Go to the biggest socialistic countries and you tell me what technology you use today that came out of a socialistic technology. What technology?
Zero.
Well, I don't know what the hell they're doing in China, but they're doing something there.
But in China, it's a different story in China. China's taking all the trade secrets from America, and they're trying to control to make China more powerful. Yes. It's not innovation. That's theft is what it's called. Yep. But they set it up in a way on contract where American people who got the money, they said it's not a big deal, let's give it to them, so it's not called theft. They did it legally, but it is theft. It's a deal that they did. Theft of IP, theft of ideas, without letting you compete in their country. So
they're not even denying it.
We'll take Facebook from you. We'll take all this stuff from you, but you can't have that in our country. But we can have it in your country. Brilliant idea that they have. Anyways, this whole stuff with taxes and inflation.
Let me ask you a question. Can there be two sides of this coin, meaning I don't think it's right that you vilify successful people. Like, I don't think that anti-capitalist vilification of the Warren Buffetts of the world and the Bezos of the world and the Musk of the world and all these guys who have made a major influence, Steve Jobs, as you mentioned, the vilification of these types of entrepreneurs, to me, is ridiculous and is absurd. But at the same time, can you also say, yeah, maybe they should pay their fair share? Like Warren Buffett has said, I'm willing to pay more taxes. Meaning, can you congratulate them,
Why
not
don't you
vilify
do so,
them,
though?
but then also
what I'm saying
say,
is
well,
do
yeah.
it. Do it. Dude, you don't. Let's not raise taxes, but do it. Give $1 billion additional to taxes. Go ahead, just like charity. Go
But
ahead.
a lot of them have signed up for the billionaire pledge.
Well,
as an
but
example.
what I'm saying is, if you're so noble of a human being, where you say, "I'm willing to pay more taxes," why don't you? Go ahead. You can.
A lot of them, if I may answer this, a lot of them say, I don't trust the government to do
No
the right
shit,
thing.
you don't.
I'd
Neither do we.
I'd rather give it to
Neither do we.
a
Then don't-
philanthropic
don't give that
organization.
line. Don't give that line when you're worth $100 billion just to look good in the story. While you kill the next Buffett that's coming up.
But Buffett is the one who said that.
No
though.
shit, and
Yeah.
I'm calling him out.
Yeah.
Don't say that after you made your $100 billion and you screwed up for the next 17-year-old Buffett that wants to come up.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell are you doing? Did you forget when you were 17? So you want to make it harder for the next, so you want to make the barrier to entry for the next Buffett to come up, you want to make it harder for him? That's what you want to do. So that's your policy right there. Yeah, well, I got my money already. Forget about it. I'm 90 years old right now. Yeah, I'm this old wise guy now. And don't worry, young guys, you don't need to be as wealthy as me. It's not as good. Who are you to make that decision for me? Mm-hmm. Now that you have the money, it's easy for you to say it? No.
Yeah.
Let the young 14-year-old Buffett be inspired to be more than you.
So you're saying that Buffett's speaking out of both sides of his mouth and not thinking about the future generations?
Look, I asked the guy one time, I said, why do some of these billionaires who become so wealthy, why do they all of a sudden start sympathizing and like, oh my gosh, all this other stuff? He says, because they feel bad. They feel bad because of what? What do they feel bad about? What? The only thing you ought to feel bad about is, you know the documentary about Vince Lombardi where they said at the end of the days, Lombardi wasn't the happiest guy when he died. There'd be parties, he'd have drinks and he'd step away and he would go cry in his room by himself. Oh, and his wife would go to him and says, hey, baby, what's going on? He says, I don't know. He'd go and cry hardcore, right? And they said, this just doesn't make sense. Why is Lombardi doing this? So when I interviewed the coach of the Chicago Bears, Mike Ditka, and I'm sitting at his bar in Ditka, in Chicago. It's my most boring interview I've ever done.
I never even knew you
Are you
interviewed
serious? He didn't show up and bring
the
it?
most boring interview I've ever done. And I'll tell you why. You know why?
Because he mailed it in.
Let me tell you why it was the most boring. His wife was sitting right there when we did the interview. And I asked him about everything, Kaepernick, all this other stuff. He says, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Fine. Maybe I was too hard. Maybe I was too this. I'm like, dude, that's not what I want to hear. That's not what I want to hear. Because what happens is when you get older, the energy to argue certain arguments for you, it's just like, I just don't care anymore to do it, right? So Lombardi, what is that background noise, by the way? Who is it? Is it our guys? Can we just tell them Gerard to... Okay. When you become older, okay, and you get to a point where like Lombardi's going around, he says finally what hurt Lombardi was the fact that he felt at the tail end of his career he was too tough on his players. He felt like he was too tough on his players. Now, when they interview the players, can somebody step over there and just have that conversation with Gerard? The guy's so loud the whole country can hear him right now.
I'll be right back.
All right. So he was so tough on his players. So they interviewed the players, and they said, how do you feel about it? He says, I disagree. He says, I wanted somebody like that in my life.
Got him some rings.
I wanted somebody that challenged me the way he did. He says, I never had anybody that had such high expectations of me. He says, don't get me wrong, he was very tough, but I liked the way he was. There was a story about who was this quarterback that played for him?
Bart Starr.
Bart Starr. He says, Bart Starr one day, Lombardi's berating him in front of his players. You can't even throw shit. What the hell is going on with you? Blah, 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 blah. He just trashed him in front of his players. Bart says, Coach, can I talk to you? Yeah. He comes in. He says, hey, Coach, why can't you, if you want me to lead my players, please don't undermine me in front of my players. Can you do it to me privately? He says he never did it ever again. Bart Starr said that. He says, because I just want to have the conversation with him, right? As people age, and it gets, I don't know what it is to be 90 years old. And to be closer to heaven or to be closer to, you know, whatever age of 20, 30 to relate to that. As you get older, you become disconnected with the younger. You forget who you were at 15.
Sure.
Bro, there's this book on Lincoln called Lincoln on Leadership. And one of the things he talks about is circulate amongst your troops. The moment you no longer relate to the minimum wage person and you forget who you were, you know that whole song by Jennifer Lopez, which is what? Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. I'm still Jenny from the block. I used to have a little, now I have a lot. No matter where I go, I still remember where I. By the way, to me, the only reason that's my favorite J-Lo song is because the words. I don't listen to J-Lo song, but the words.
I'm still.
The point is, Buffett forgot when he was just Warren from the block. He forgot.
Yeah, he did. He's had a rough year.
Don't be fooled by the stocks that I got.
That's right. There you go.
But you know what?
From the block.
He really has. He's had more gaffes this year than he has had his whole life.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is that negative guy underneath him, Charlie. You know, his
Charlie Munger.
Yeah.
You know, he's about as bitter as you can possibly get. You know, in regards to the tax that the rich are paying, no one's accusing them of breaking any laws. And if you have that type of wealth, you have people that are smart enough to stay one step ahead of the tax code and the IRS and to figure it all out, which makes me think they'll just figure out the next thing too, right?
They always do.
Yeah, and by the way, Adam said there's nothing we can do about it. Actually, we can when it comes to inflation. We can vote out the people that are in power when inflation hits, and that usually does happen.
Dude, by the way, this guy named Motown Music Factory, I don't know who it is because there's not a name behind it, just gave $10. And he said, America will look worse than Detroit without people like Elon Musk. Just ask Jack Ma. I agree, and I'm going to give you 10 times what you gave us, which is $100. Let's make a note, Kai. The Motown Music Factory. Send us a text to 310-340-1132. We're about to send you $100 because I agree with you as well. We have to recognize these people and build them up. We're trashing innovators right now. We're destroying innovators right now. Everything is about, you know, the people today, there is a business model on YouTube for just trashing others constantly. We enjoy that. People are enjoying seeing it, right? It is a model that happens. I posted a picture of the house I bought, right? Because Barron's did a story on it, and then
The Real Deal.
The Real Deal did a story on it. A bunch of people did a story on it, and so finally, my guy says, what do you want to do? I said, Tom, why don't we write and put the pictures up? So Tom wrote the story on vtpost.com. Hey, you know, what do you call it? Bought this house in Fort Lauderdale, record-breaking, whatever, $20.4 million house I bought, right, last week. And I got the keys, and I flew out, right, the moment I got the keys. But I slept in it 2 times this week, 3 times this week. And I got to tell you, taking a shower the other day, and thank God it's covered here on the bottom. But at the top, it's not covered. So I'm taking a shower, and I'm looking around. At the top, it's open, so when it rains, you see the rain. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh my gosh, from a freaking apartment complex in Granada Hills where drive-bys were taking place too. Who the hell would believe this story if I told you in high school, one day, Pat, hey, if somebody said, Pat, one day at 42 years old, you're going to live in this kind of house, I'd say, what the hell are you on right now, the drugs you're using?
That's the American dream.
But you know what? There was a lot of messages that came, but there was a lot of messages that came with send me money. There's a lot of messages that came that, you know, you could have given that money to this. There was a lot. Everybody has their own dream. To some people, the dream is a different dream. To some people, it's a relationship. To some people, it's a house. To some people, it's something big they want. Some people, it's their legacy of their, you know, they want to do something big with it. Thank God for the ambitious people who have big dreams and they try to do it the right way. They're going to break rules. There's no way in the world you're going to be big without breaking the rules. But they don't break the laws. But you can break the rules. You have to break the rules sometimes to do something big with it. Thank God for them. Sometimes we just have to sit there and be grateful the fact that we had a chance to witness a Michael play. When people tell me, I was looking at art in Wynwood. I was in Wynwood 2 days ago. And I go to this one art store. The guy sees me. He's like, oh, shit. I'm like, what the hell? I'm with Senna. And anyways, Senna, Mario, I think we're out there. And Carolyn. So we go, he goes to the back. Hey, come here. Say, hey, I'm Al. This is Cal. And this is Val. I'm like, cool, good to meet you guys.
This is Sal.
We watch all your interviews. Oh, you watch the business interviews? No, just the mob interviews. I'm like, okay, so you're the mob audience, right? So we're sitting there, we're talking. And what story was I telling right now? I was talking about the fact that
your house, your art, the haters.
The house, the art, the haters. Oh, man, huh? Different dreams. What was it, man? I was about to tell a good story with what happened there.
The art.
Yeah, I forgot what the story was, but it had to do with that place because I was looking at an art with this guy. Anyway, so it'll come to me here in a minute. In Wynwood. I don't know where I was going with this, but The house, the art, what was it? Where was I going with this? I'll get with it here in a minute.
Okay,
but
get mentally back into that shower.
Yeah.
Get back there. You're feeling good. Shower.
Well, you were talking about everybody has a different type of goal, and it might be a house for somebody.
Yeah, I just think we forget that, man. I think we forget the little kid that has a dream that wants to do something big. And rather than forget about the 50-year-old Elon Musk. I don't know how old Elon Musk is. I'm assuming he's in his mid-40s to late mid-50s.
I think he's 50. I think he's 49 on the verge of 50 right now.
Dude, go look at Elon Musk not as 49. Take a look at Elon Musk as a 12-year-old kid who kept reading those books and imaginations, and people call them weird, who had an imaginary friend, who had all those weird things that he did. And he had a dream. Dude, don't look at him as that 50-year-old guy. Look at him as by the way, even Biden, you know what I look at with Biden? I don't look at Biden as who he is today. I look at Biden, I'm like, this guy probably, when he was coming up, he was like, he had a dream. One day he's going to be a president, right? Sure. The guy's got the ultimate, the lowest underdog. You know who he is? He's like when the Florida Marlins won the World Series. That's Joe Biden, if you think about it.
Team.
Yeah, it's like, Jay Buhner, Pudge Rodriguez, all those guys, the great pitchers. Randy was there, I think. I think Randy was there. I don't know who their pitcher was. They had a good pitcher there. But the point is, we forget those stories. As much as you may disagree with someone's ideas, Trump at one point had the pressure of the father boarding, they're sending him away. Go at this place, figure out your life, the resentment. If you love me so much, why do you send me to a boarding house? Guy becomes a billionaire, becomes a president. Sure. I mean, dude, you got to plot some of these guys. So the world wouldn't be the same without these people. We demonize them way too much sometimes.
Yeah, and the media's grabbing hold of this social warfare, this class warfare, and they're running with it. And it's dangerous. It's making these people seem like they're evil or that they should feel guilty about making all this money. How about Elon Musk when he almost lost Tesla? I mean, he was working 20 to 22 hours a day trying to save it. So there's that too. So,
yeah, that's true. By the way, this doesn't mean, everything with taxes to me is a sales company's compensation structure. What incentives do you want? Create a sales structure, compensation structure based on that. Hopefully they'll do something about it. All I know is right now they're trying to drive it in a way to demonize rich people, and I don't think it's going to work out for them long term. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.